I don't
It's
see it.
still trying to go.
There it goes. It just took a minute. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. But the story I wanted to share with you guys today, because I've been working through my own stuff, because I had one thing about channeling is it brings everything to the surface, and you don't get to run away from anything. So I've been dealing with anxiety and depression for many years, but through the channeling process and the whole process you need to get to be able to actually do it successfully and take what information you can, you have to work through a lot of internal stuff. So what I've found over the last month or so, since having my own session with someone I like to talk to occasionally, is I no longer, because I've removed the charge and the thing inside of me that was causing me to have issues. What's up, dude? What's up, Kevon? I no longer have panic attacks or anxiety attacks because that charge that was causing me to have those experiences are just gone. It's fantastic. And I just want to get across to everyone here that I am just a person. I just can do some really cool stuff. That's all. How y'all doing tonight? Nice. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
So yeah, absolutely. But like I said, one of the biggest things is being willing to go internally and really look at things in order to no longer have the experiences of having those anxiety attacks or panic attacks, because I've dealt with those for years and they suck so bad. But now I'm at the point where I just don't have them. You can see things more clearly and much more easily if you don't have those things blocking your vision and as to how you're approaching life. So I just want to share that with you guys, because that's where I'm at right now. It's because I'm in this state of no longer noticing those things. So it's like I go into situations that used to trigger me, and now they no longer cause me issue. So I don't know, whatever comes through. We'll have him.
What would you tell people that experiencing anxiety and depression to start climbing the way out? What advice would you give them?
The one thing I would actually, the one thing I would definitely say, because this is what I found ultimately helped me get out of it, is feeling your body where it feels like you'll feel a spot in your body. Like a lot of times it will be here, a lot of times it will be in your solar plexus or other spots. Feel into your body and allow your body to fully to let it express, and ask that spot, what's going on here? What's the charge? Where is it coming from? And a lot of times anxiety is here and also here. And I'm wearing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle shirt, and I haven't done anything else today. But allowing yourself to fully sit and ask, what is the feeling? What does it originate from? And allow it to give space so it can transform and stop causing you anxiety. That would be my 2 cents. So I think we have enough people here to start. So I'm going to drop in, and we'll let Ethan talk and yada, yada, yada.
Maybe before you drop in, I'll mention that today's topic came from us.
Cool.
And we call it A-LIGHT-MENT. So it's enlightenment and lifting, being light, fun, funny, all that stuff.
Cool.
We'll see what he says.
All right.
All right.
Give me 2 seconds and I'll drop in. Good day to you all. How are you?
Good day, good day. We're fine. How are you today?
Perfect.
What message do you have for us today, Ethan?
Enlightenment. The stage where you bring everything together. The one thing that most people do not factor into the experience of enlightenment is the idea of what happens after the experience of enlightenment. The idea of Buddha in your history is one of what did he do when he said, I am now enlightened? The understanding is that he went home and washed his bowl. Understanding that even if you reach the point of enlightenment, you still need to live a normal life, allowing yourself to be integrated in your understanding of who you are and what you have to bring to the world. Enlightenment is purely a state where you've lightened up on yourself. You've acted from a state of integration and understanding of who and what you are instead of allowing yourself to be held down by your experiences, by your past, by your time and space that you think people did to you in your understanding. Because remember, we say this very wholeheartedly. Remember that many times those things that people did to you, you did to them in another incarnation. They are returning the favor of the experience that you had in the other incarnation that is being given to you. It is a lesson that you chose to live out, not dimming anyone, not causing anyone to be in shame or pain or fear, but understand that these are learning situations at all times and all places. Everyone that you meet is your teacher. Everyone that you meet is your student. The process of enlightening yourself to the point of evolving and moving vibrationally higher to higher levels is that which allows you to lighten up on yourself and what your life has to offer. Look at the lessons and allow yourself to fully experience them instead of running away from them. Many times, the anxiety that most humans, I know the channel just spoke and said this out loud, that the idea of the pain that you thought was causing your issue is really not. It's the fact that you are running away from your experiences of who you are and what you came here to experience. So allow yourself to open up to the experience of enlightenment of who you are, and open up to the experience of creation and higher frequencies at all times, and allow yourself to listen to the wind, because many times it is saying something to you that is important.
Thank you very much. Let me look what the audience is saying here, please. We have some supporting comments. Diamond Mind is asking, got a question. What is light language?
Ultimately, the idea of light language is that which is telepathic. In nature, reality, those languages that many of you speak out loud, such as many of those are just bleed over from other incarnations. Those themselves are not specifically light languages. They are languages that do exist on other planets and other civilizations, but they are not necessarily light languages themselves. But ultimately, the true light language that you are is light itself. It is the idea of telepathy, where you can harmoniously calibrate and allow yourself to be integrated into all of the people around you. So the idea of light language itself is more of an energetic place.
Thank you. And everything is made of light, correct?
Yes. Therefore, your experiences are made of light, even the dark ones.
Even the dark ones. How real is the physical experience, considering that, to my understanding, if we zoom in the microscope, zoom in and in and in on any object, there's nothing to be found?
Your physical experience is an expression of an energetic state or energetic template that you have decided that you'd like to experience. So the experience itself is only as real as you make it.
Thank you. What about the experiment where light goes in one direction when the scientist looks at it and goes in it's different path when the scientist looks away from it?
That particular experiment, that explicit explicit understanding that comes from that particular understanding is more that your consciousness has an effect on the reality that you exist in, that you are experiencing, because your whole reality is an extension of you. You can look at every experience, every person that you meet as an extension of your oversoul, of yourself energetically in all moments.
Is this reality we experience a shared reality?
Yes, obviously.
Well, it could be a situation where I project my reality and the person next to me, I think he's next to me, but he's really a projection of my reality as
Any
well.
reality that you experience with other people, or you're having experiences with other people, that is a sensus reality. That is a shared reality with other people that are creating their version of you and their reality, because there's something that you need to reflect back to them as they need to reflect back to you in your experience.
Thank you. Dolores Cannon spoke of the background people. What are these, please?
This was a misunderstanding. It was more of what we just spoke on, the version of reality where you understand that in a movie that there are extras that fill in the space for the
Yes.
experience.
Yes.
Those extras are still you.
There still exists, right? They're still living
Yes.
beings.
Yes.
So,
They still have their life. They still go about their own experiences, their own time, their own space, but they're still an expression of you in your reality. But you are choosing to have an expression, a inclusion of their energy into your experience to help you grow.
and from their perspective, they share the same reality that I share with them.
A slightly different reality. You understand that fact that some people are colorblind, correct?
Sorry, some people are what?
Colorblind.
Yes,
This tells you that these people do not actually inhabit the exact same reality that you are in. It's just you are having a consensus reality with them at that time, but you are just sharing a time space with them, but not necessarily in their reality.
I see.
Because
Is
in their reality, the reality looks like what they see.
Thank you. And is that true to all the people in my life, or some
Yes.
people in my life that I interact with on a daily basis, we share more of a closer reality?
Well, obviously, if they are in your reality on a consistent basis, then yes. But if you are coming from the standpoint of, does everyone exist in my reality? No, they don't exist beyond your experience of them in your reality. But they do exist on another level, in another reality, but they are sharing a consensus reality at that moment, at that time with you and who you are and what you have to offer them.
Right. So it's kind of like we're all meeting in the computer game.
Yes. This is why many humans have been experiencing the idea of in the matrix. That idea is more from a higher perspective that they are projecting themselves into the physical reality to have the physical experience. But you are in the physical experience, dreaming of the experience of being physical. Because it is a wonderful classroom that you couldn't have on the non physical level, on the spirit level.
Thank you. Val Madness wrote here. How do you interpret Joshua 10:12-14 in the Bible when Joshua told the sun and the moon to stay still in the midst of heaven about a whole day, so that they avenge their enemies?
This is an idea of a shift between realities. When the idea of shifting through particular dimensional doorways, you will have time stand still because you are shifting frequencies to either higher or lower dimensions. You're doing this constantly. But many times, these myths that you have in your history are there to teach you a particular thought process. Many people take these ideas way too literally. Your whole reality is metaphor.
Thank you. So it could been that they did have a battle and it lasted a day, and it just seems like a very long day because you're in the moment.
Yes.
Okay,
Also, when you are in the moment, you don't experience as much time.
right. And that's why people who are excited about what they do, they're always in the moment. They have better, healthier, longer lives, I would imagine.
Yes. When you are constantly in the moment, you see things more clearly also. Things that would not be as obvious to you. Oh, I experience my reality this way. That makes sense because I am coming from a particular level. It does not mean that you necessarily will always experience reality that way, but just being able to stay more in the flow, as it were, will make it so you age slower, will be more energetic. You will need to eat less because you are taking on more of the energy from the universe.
Right. Thank you. Uh, I was listening to a channel of Yeshua that I listen to sometimes, and Yeshua was speaking very eloquently about change your mind.
Yes.
And then Yeshua said, pay attention to your mind, pay attention to which mind you're paying attention to, and
Yes.
what is your mind.
Yes. The idea of the universal mind, the level of your physical reality, pay attention to your thoughts and as to how you would like to experience the reality that you're in. Pay attention to what is happening in your reality at all times because that will help you understand and help you be more aware of these particular things that do happen in your reality all of the time. You are an expression of it as much as your reality is an expression of you. Pay attention energetically because that will shift you much more rapidly than you would if you continued down the road that was more negative.
And that is the process of enlightenment.
Yes,
Yes.
lighten up. Allow yourself to give yourself space to have the experiences that happen. Most people in your reality, in your world, run away from the experiences they chose.
Right. And if you face that reality, that you'll overcome your fear and you'll make friends with it and you'll integrate it and move on.
You will move more into the idea that the fear is there to teach you something. Instead of running away from it and not allowing it to be there for what it's there for, it will gain more of a charge around it. So if you move to the idea of, I'm not good enough, well, where does that come from? The more you run away from it, the more you deny it, the more power you give to it. It will express itself more fully in your reality, a little more liberally than it would if you actually just looked at it and understood, oh, it is telling me something. This is out of alignment with me. So I need to understand why it's there and who gave it to me. Many times, when you get to the point where you see, oh, this does not belong to me, you'll let it go. You'll let it go very quickly at that.
Thank you. I do find out that the process of being in the flow and letting go are I don't want to say one and the same, but they're tied to each other. It's really about letting go of your ego and your emotional attachment to whatever, and seeing the
It's
bigger
more,
picture.
it is more the idea you're using the ego, the physical personality for what it was meant for. Instead of trying to overload it with a job that it does not actually belong to, saying, I need to control the world. I need to do this. I need to do that. This is more of the negative ego that's being expressed into your physical world. And when you use it for what it's there for and what it's meant for, it'll go away.
Yes, thank you.
But you will never not have an ego as long as you're in physical reality. Even when you are in non-physical reality, you still have an ego per se, but it's more just to interact with other consciousness that are roaming around.
Right. So the ego, when you're ethereal, like yourself,
Yes.
it's more of a framework for a certain identity.
Yes. But when you are in the non physical aspect of things, you actually have access to all the different egos that you've ever incarnated as, all the experiences that you've had, all the different versions of reality that you've ever been through. This is why when you are in spirit, You can never really believe in most beliefs that are negative because you have access to all of your history at any time, whatever you need in the moment.
Okay. Connect the dots for me, please, between not having negative beliefs and the access to all the concurrent or past lives.
When you are in non physical, you understand this, right?
Yeah.
You don't have the idea of amnesia like you do are in the physical realm, correct?
Yeah.
So when you are in non physical, you have full access to your totality of your experience. As a matter of fact, you are there now.
Yes.
But more of the idea is you cannot hold on to the idea of negative beliefs because you are coming from a level that does not hold on to those negative beliefs and they do not transfer into the non physical experience.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Right. Because why? How can I have negative beliefs, but I can see everything and understand all experiences there for?
It's not just seeing. You understand the idea of a life review when you transition to non physical, correct?
Yes, I heard of it. Yes.
When you are in this particular experience, you feel everything, you become everything because everything in your reality is you. So, therefore, you get to experience everything that you ever did to someone else as well as what they did to you. And they also experience it when they incarnate or when they move into the non physical experience of life.
And that happens during the transition. Yeah.
Yes. But remember, when you go into non physical, there is an acclimatization process that when you transition from the physical experience where you process and experience life one way, you will experience life differently because you are on a higher level. You are on a higher frequency where you can experience life, where you can be 10,000 years in the future or 5 years in the past. It doesn't
Right.
matter. It is all simultaneously. It all happens at the speed of thought.
Right.
You are not your body.
Yes. Thank you for the reminder. Ethan, yesterday I was walking with my daughter by the lake, and there was very heavy fog settled there. And then as we got closer, it was kind of weird. I don't know if I was projecting, but my phone beeped, and a friend of mine said, "Where are you?" And I said, "I'm by the lake. Like we're checking out the fog." And he goes, "Get out of there. That's not a good place to be." So we
Yes.
left. But we left, and then we went to the park, sat under the trees, and had a wonderful time. And I felt very good there under the tree at
Yes.
the park. But the question is, was the fog any harmful, or was just some fog?
Not necessarily fog itself. Many times there are places closer to the idea of water where there are doorways where not so positive entities can actually enter. Where if you choose to interact with them and stay in that space, you will encounter something you may not necessarily like,
You mean beings of sorts?
of sorts. You may have an experience on a higher level. You may be slightly shifted into another reality where time stops.
Hmm.
But also coming from a positive state that doesn't allow you to interact with those particular beings, you will not necessarily be in that state where you can actually have those interactions, but understand that when you choose to stay in that area, you may be choosing to have the experience with those particular beings.
Fair enough. What about all the people walking along the little boardwalk by the lake? Seem completely oblivious to that fog.
Well, they may not necessarily be of the proper reality to actually have the experience of having the fog in their reality. Because there are some people who have the idea of, in their reality, it is storming outside. But there are other people that they look outside and it's a nice, breezy day.
Mm.
Not everyone's experiencing the same kind of weather in their reality.
Okay, so the people that weren't so bothered by the fog, would they not interact with whichever energy is there?
Well, they may not necessarily be able to perceive it.
But they would still feel it, would be affected by it?
To an extent, but not the same extent to someone who actually perceives the event that is happening.
I see. Okay, thank you, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, I have a question from Val Madness here. Here we go. So Joshua's story talks about being in the present, or did Joshua actually have the ability to freeze time through some occult practice?
The idea of many of the occult practices, as it were, that you've been told and taught about, the negative aspect that many of these understandings have been attributed to, it is more of the idea that he's in the present moment. He is not allowing himself to go down and experience more time by being bogged down by the idea of being in physical reality as much. It is more of the idea that many of these occult practices that you are reintegrating into your society are actually the way the Atlanteans were actually taught. And it was handed down, per se, through these particular practices, and it was hoarded by the few. But many of these practices are trying to become more regular into your society as you go along on the path.
Thank you, Ethan. Which practices again are you referring to here?
Allowing yourself to be in the idea of the mystery of life, allowing yourself to be in the idea of the present moment, allowing yourself to be on a higher frequency instead of allowing these particular things to bog you down. But also the idea of all these occult practices that you see the demon as they were. More of this particular idea is just putting a negative spin on a particular practice that is teaching you to actually view the world differently. Many of these types of occult teachings, the mystery schools, all they were doing is trying to get you to actually think about your reality differently and understand that you create your own reality through your experiences of it. It's just there as a teaching tool.
Thank you. It kind of vibes to me as an infinite mirroring between myself and my reality, what I perceive myself to be, what I perceive my reality to be.
Yes.
And but there's another layer of me above that sees all the realities and the me, quote unquote, bouncing and reflecting between each other.
Yes. This is your higher mind. This is the higher expression of you as the physical personality.
Right.
It is the person on the mountain. Most of these types of practices are there to get you on the mountain with that aspect of yourself to see the thing that is coming.
Thank you. Well, I've been practicing being on top of the mountain, and
Yeah. How exciting.
It's enlightening.
And when you go to the top of the mountain, you lighten up every single time, correct?
Yes, you do.
Well, there you go.
Thank you very much for this teaching. It's been very, very, very helpful.
Most people take life way too seriously. It is not that serious as much as you think it is. You are an eternal, infinite being. What's your rush?
Yes. Thank you. I apologize for the call here. Okay. Ethan, I wanted to ask you a little bit about our galactic neighbors, since we started our communications with helping us and the world get used to the imminent contact.
Yes.
Perhaps you can tell us a bit about our galactic neighbors, who's around, who is here right now, who's involved in what's going on, etc.
You have many different species that are here to help you through the process, such as us, through the Sessani. You have the idea of ancestors like the Lyrans that have been around for literally millions of years, that have branched off into many different versions of the particular humanoid form from their original planet. You have the idea of Palladians that have joined in and have come to Earth many times and have interacted with your people. You have idea of reptilians, negative and positive. You have the idea of the Greys, which are mutated humans from a different version of Earth. You have the idea of the mantid beings, the Zeta Greys. This is from Zeta Reticuli. You have the idea of the Anunnaki, but in their more evolved form as it is now, the Hyper Sapiens, the Tall Whites. You also have the idea of many different species that do actually exist in your solar system, the solar system. Sol is your star. Understand that you are interacting with many beings on different levels all the time. It's just being more aware of the fact that you are.
Thank you. Uh, Anunnaki and the tall whites are one and the same or different?
Yeah, they are the evolved form of the Anunnaki.
Okay. If I see someone who's pale skin and tall, can I assume they're related to Anunnaki or have Anunnaki
Not
DNA?
necessarily. Remember, the Anunnaki themselves were not just one species. They were an amalgamation of many, many, many different species from different star systems. That the idea of your planet is a offshoot of the Anunnaki themselves, much in the way that humans are an offshoot of the Anunnaki. The genetics that were attributed to the Anunnaki, like the Lyrian DNA, the understanding that you share more in common with a cat than you do with a primate because they had feline DNA.
Thank you. How many different DNA? How many different DNAs of various species are in us, humans?
13.
13.
Yes,
Would you tell me which ones the 13 are?
we've already mentioned a few.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay, so we can assume that those names that you've mentioned are in us in one or another way.
Yes, you are a hybrid species.
Yes.
You have all the different DNAs in you that are expressing themselves in different way. You understand that the reason why people look so different on your planet at this point is because the different DNA that has been injected into you is expressing itself through the physical forms that you see on your planet.
Right. And the various races, as we call it, on Earth, were they all created by Anunnaki?
Yes, but also the idea of expressions over time in different areas of your planet brought out different portions of the DNA that was actually injected into you during the creation process of humans.
I see. I see. I see. I see. Thank you. What about cultures or people like Aztec and Maya that seem to have disappeared?
The idea of the Aztec and the Maya come from a star system. A few of them stayed behind and did continue to evolve into the Mayans.
Thank you. Okay. Uh, I have a question from Matthias here. Matthias Leiten. Question. Can you talk about Melchizedek and his order?
The idea of the Melchizedek energy itself is more of a higher consciousness. You understand what the idea of the Christ consciousness on your planet is?
Yes, but please explain it to us.
It is more of the idea of the collective consciousness of your planet, the collective consciousness of your species expressing itself through a more galactic form than it would be if you were just purely doing the human consciousness on your planet. How it expresses itself through the idea of creativity and allows itself to be fully expressed through your physical form. When you are fully expressing the idea of your creative spirit, you are tapping into the idea of the Melchizedek frequency. Think of these collectives more in terms of frequency than less of the physical being of Melchizedek. The order of the Melchizedek, you are more tapping into the idea of that particular vibration and frequency that has expressed itself in the past, but allowing yourself to express itself in your present. So you bring it forward and bring it and allow it to integrate through your experience of being human.
Thank you. Rosemary, is the black and white video of the alien on the internet referred to as Skinny Bob a real ET?
Yes.
Yes. I have not watched that video.
The idea of Skinny Bob at that time, your people were, your governmental officials were starting to interact with beings from off world. The idea of Skinny Bob himself was more of the idea that a person of the Greys came forward to deliver information to help you avoid becoming the Greys.
Thank you. Ethan, are you familiar with Bob Lazar?
Yes.
Bob Lazar spoke of Area 51 or S4 with
Yes.
various models of saucers.
Yes.
Was Bob Lazar, what he saw was actual extraterrestrial craft or human craft?
It was a mix.
It was a mix.
The idea that you do not have full access to our technology yet. We would not give you any sort of technology that could destroy you. At the time, the particular technology that Bob Lazar saw, you as a planet were still getting used to the idea of being able to travel. We were giving you a sample of what it is like to move at a higher frequency and what kind of vehicles that are potentially there to be made and can exhibit different things. You do have the idea of reverse engineered vehicles from our technology and other species technology that has been delivered or has been recovered by your governments, but
Yes.
more of the idea that those ships themselves cannot travel very far. They do not have the idea of being able to jump outside of your solar system.
Thank you. And to knowledge, it's true to some extraterrestrial were captured and held deep inside Area 51?
They weren't held. Those particular beings volunteered.
I see. I did see an interview with a person who claimed that had daily contact with one of the extraterrestrials,
Yes.
and they would suit him up, and he would go and speak with the extraterrestrial. At one point, him and the extraterrestrial faked some kind of a fight, and when they're close
Yes.
enough, the extraterrestrial telepathically gave him a lot of information
Yes.
right away.
The idea of what we are doing right now with the channel is that which we are having a telepathic conversation with him. It's just being expressed in time space as we do these conversations. He had no idea whatsoever what I am going to say in the moment. So these expressions, these information, these ways of speaking that are coming through him that have become easier over time is more of the idea that he is delivering information that will help you all grow.
Thank you. Ethan, are you aware of more sightings recently?
You have sightings all the time.
All the time.
Many times you do have true sightings with ships because you understand that there are the idea of more and more and more sightings happening. Many times they are discredited. They are saying it is a weather balloon. It is a figment of your imagination. Many times they are real and you're starting to see them more and more often, but you are having sightings all the time. The actual frequency of them is happening and accelerating at this time.
That's good. I heard of, I believe it's called Project Bluebeam. It's basically a holographic projection, and it could simulate anything from an extraterrestrial craft bombing the Earth or whatever, a Disney princess flying around.
Yes. This is reverse engineered technology.
Of the holographic?
Yes.
Okay.
Many times, the technology that is delivered to humans is misappropriated and misused.
Yes, yes, yes. I believe Ra mentioned that as well. Okay.
We only ever give you small amounts of technology to begin with because you couldn't quite understand fully what it means to have that level of technology.
Yes. Yes. For some.
Also, many of the actual ships and many of the actual technologies themselves are telepathic in nature because they are more of an expression of consciousness.
Thank you. Rosemary is asking, who or what was the red light coming through my blinds from years ago?
That particular idea of understanding the idea of teleportation, you caught the end of a teleport back.
Was she being teleported or someone else?
She was.
Ah, thank you. This dude is asking, what race of being is expressed as muscular in humans?
You do understand that you are a naturally evolved hominid that has been genetically engineered, correct?
Yes.
Naturally, hominids themselves are quite muscular in nature. But there are many other species out there that are more slim in build. But you are primates in nature. So you are expressing the idea of muscular builds.
Yes.
And there have been many different versions of humans in the past, some successful, many not successful. But generally speaking, you express different ideas at different points in your life as your body changes and morphs.
Right. Were there humans 7 to 10 foot tall at some point?
Yes,
What happened to them?
you understand the idea of the Atlantean civilization.
Yes.
You understand the idea of the Lemurians.
Less so.
More of the expression of the humans in the past actually expressed themselves in this way where they were very tall, where they were the expression of 9 to 10 feet tall on average.
Okay, thank you.
But you also have the stories of giants from your past, correct?
Yes, yes.
Those are them.
Okay.
They did actually exist quite long and more recently into your history, but they did eventually die out. But their genetics still exist inside of your DNA and do express from time to time in people that are quite tall. So they didn't disappear, they are you.
I understand. Thank you. So when I see pictures from 1800s, 1850s to 1880s, and once in a while you see photos of very tall people, men and women,
Yes.
those are them.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
They didn't die per
Yeah.
se, but they did integrate into your genetic pool.
Yes. 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 Yes.
The channel himself is quite tall. He does express many of the Atlantean DNA itself through his experience and the expressions of his being and his physical appearance.
Right.
The ability to channel us more says that he expresses the idea of that particular DNA through his physical appearance because he's actually activated more of his DNA to be able to have these types of connections.
Right. 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 Thank you. Would you say that uh, how would I say? Would you say that showing certain traits and or showing like behavioral traits or physical could give clues to someone's earlier DNA?
Yes.
Would you say that certain people, maybe Asian people, would they have like eyes that maybe more like grayish, like they could have more gray DNA?
The idea of that particular ethnicity among your race is more of the idea of there was once upon a time a colony that was rooted in that area and did breed into the population. So they express more of those particular looks.
A colony of grays or different race?
Different race.
I see.
Your world has been quite heavily colonized in the past.
Yes, we are finding out now.
Yes. You
We never
find
knew
many
that.
megalithic structures all over your planet.
Yes.
You
And
find architecture that has never been possible in your recollection of time.
yes.
These are hints of what used to be there.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you.
Many of the structures that come from those particular civilizations and those colonies, the reason why you can't make them currently today is because you do not have the technology that allows you to do those things.
Yes.
As many people that are expressing themselves more openly in this world today, they will bring forward technology that has been lost and reestablish it in your society.
Thank you. And there would be various vibrational technologies, I assume.
Yes.
Sound, healing frequencies, crystals,
Levitation.
levitation.
Many of the ideas of what you call mutants, what you call superhumans, are more natural expressions of what is possible when you go to higher frequencies.
Very good. Thank you. And you think we'll see some of that coming up?
Yes. There are expressions of people exhibiting quite supernatural abilities according to you, but more are the natural abilities of those people that express themselves in a higher way.
Yes, fair enough. Thank you. I have a few more questions here in the chat, if that's okay.
Yes.
All right. Val Madness. Ethan, could you tell me the name of my star in the sky?
Your star is soul. If you were referring to different stars that you might have been incarnated around, as a human, you've only ever been on this planet. As the idea of a soul, a higher consciousness, a higher non energetic, non physical form, you come from everywhere. But just allow these particular expressions to happen so you can express more naturally the abilities that come from those stars. It's not about making yourself be from the stars. You physically are from Earth. It is okay. Do not run away from the experience because there are many things that you would miss out if you don't allow yourself to be physical. Have yourself have a full physical experience.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
The idea of this timing is not about running away from anything. You are in the idea of integration as to your experience of Earth.
Yes. Yeah, I mean that is it.
You are more trying to express the particular vibration of those stars. It would be more applicable to say, what incarnations am I connected to? Which star systems am I connected to? That would be more applicable. But
Right.
you are from Earth.
Yes, thank you.
Clarify your definitions and clarify what you are saying. When you give a more clear question, a clear answer will come. Many of the themes and many of the ideas that you are expressing as questions are actually merely very outdated beliefs that have persisted in your reality and in your cultures around your world for many years because that is the only way that you know how to express those things. But at this time, as the Bashar, as many other channels, many other conduits are being active at this time, we are giving you new definitions and new ways to look at these things to get a more clear understanding as to what is out there.
Thank you. That's a good way to put it.
We're not here to rule you. We're not here to dominate you. We do not want to be worshipped. We are people inside of creation. We just have a higher perspective. That is all. We cannot experience the idea of negativity in the way that you do. That is why I am incarnated through the channel in front of you. He has the experience and has experienced the idea of negativity through many lifetimes that I never could.
So you can access that experience through the other expression of you, which is the channel.
Yes.
And can the channel access your experiences as well?
Yes, but to a more limited extent, because he cannot shift in the way that I do into being quasi physical. He may have a hint of that experience, but he does not fully have that experience at this time because it is not relevant and he is not physically able to fully access all of my abilities. He has some of them and he's been shown some of them, but in reality, he can never fully access the totality of what I am able to bring forward.
Understood. Thank you.
Understand that the idea of certain expressions can only happen at higher frequency, at higher levels, at higher vibrational states that you cannot fully express in the physical form.
Right. It's not a good or bad thing. It's just that here in the physical form, we can do certain things that cannot do others.
Yes, I do not experience the idea of limitation like the channel does, but he has been able to transform the idea of limitation to be able to fully express himself more openly.
Yeah, and to lighten it up, as we said earlier, we can also experience ice cream at midnight, which could be absolutely amazing.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Ethan, are there humans on other planets right now?
Some, not very many. You are at a point in your history where it is more applicable to have everyone here to be able to go through the process that we are going through right now. There are some, but there are not very many out there. What you might perceive as human aren't actually human. They're humanoid, but they are not human.
Right. So there will be a different race.
Yes.
And when we say humans on other outside of the planet, are they born and raised here and they know that they just took a vehicle somewhere?
Yes. Many of you do actually go on our ships quite often, but in a more energetic state.
In the dream state.
Yes.
Okay.
But we interact with you in that state because we know it is just as applicable for us to have the experience as it is for you. It is a way for us to have the interactions more openly than you could in your physical world in a way that would be blocked by the beliefs of what is possible.
Right. In the energies, the frequency.
Yes.
Ethan, I spent the weekend with my daughter, which was lovely. And,
Yes.
and once in a while, I could really sense, I don't know if I could say that, but I do sense her vibration. It's so high and elating.
Yes.
And it made me remember, I remember that you said that, if we met you, we wouldn't be able to absorb all your energy. And just a little energy that came from my daughter kind of reminded me that because it was so pure and so
Yeah.
high. It was quite a bit, actually.
This is actually expressing that you as humans actually should aspire to live fully and more naturally in your experience of who you are.
Yes.
Your
And
children are your teachers.
yes, yes. My daughter and I spent probably a couple hours yesterday under that magnificent maple tree and many others.
Yes.
And it was the most wonderful experience just to sit there in the park and draw a little bit.
Yes. You were being naturally yourself.
Yes.
So you're experiencing the expression of what you were experiencing in that moment.
Yes. Thank you.
When we say the word yes often, It is there to get you into the vibrational state of yes, saying yes to your life, yes to your experience of who you are and what you have to offer. The frequency of yes is that which is open to more of who you are.
Yes, absolutely. And I tell you on my other YouTube channel called The House of Dust, if anyone wants to look it up, there's a video from Burning Man, and it's maybe a minute and a half long. I interview this lady, and she tells me this story how for one day she decided to say yes to everything, and she had the most magical day ever.
Yes,
Yes.
it is a higher vibrational state. And the idea of what your intention is when you say the word yes, you can come from a very high state, which is yes, or you come from a low state. Yes. Which one is honest and which one is dishonest about who you are and what you want to do?
Well, the higher one is the honest one.
Yes, but you can also make the idea of yes can make you laugh by looking at someone just going yes
True.
or yes. It all matters what intention you have in your experience, what vibration and frequency you're putting out into the world, because that will be reflected back to you in due time. It may not be right away because there is a lag in the time space of physical reality, but you will receive back those things that you actually put out into the world. What you put out is what you get back. Teach
Absolutely.
others as you like to be treated. It's all the same. It's just said in many different forms. The idea of the golden rule is there for a reason. It has been passed down for thousands and thousands of years for a reason, because it is there to teach you you are the creator of your reality. So therefore, the expression and the energy that you receive back is an expression of you. It is the vibration that you put out into the world. If you do not like what you receive back, look at your attitude and also your behaviors.
Absolutely. Respond versus react.
Yes.
Yes.
Allow yourself to not be in such a reactive state where you can be open to more of your experiences.
Yes, thank you. And we've had some yes on the screen earlier, some yes responses.
Yes. We're not
Dolores,
here to scold you like children. You are not children. We are here to help guide you as a loving parent would, but we are not here to scold you for having the physical experience or to shame you or to put you in a state of guilt, because you do that to yourselves quite nicely already.
thank you. That's true.
Yes.
Yes. Dolores Cornea. Are humans being teleported through time for extended lengths of time and return in a single night?
Well, the idea of time is not what you think it is. The idea of being teleported through time is more of the idea of you're teleporting your consciousness, not your physical body. A lot of times, sometimes your physical body is taken. There are the idea of the hybridization process, the process of implantation and examination, but more of the idea that you're shifting to another reality. That was your past, your future.
Thank you. Rosemary. I was in a UFO space pod flying in dream state years ago and came
Yes.
across an abandoned planet seen in an old amusement park. I
Yes.
found it very emotional. What was that about?
The idea that you have had other incarnations. You had shifted yourself to that expression of that being, because those particular entities that you are interacting with quite often take you to worlds where there used to be people. Because many times there are physical planets that have been abandoned because they are no longer inhabitable. You were seeing one of these worlds.
I see. Thank you.
But you were more in the in the state of your consciousness that was expressing itself and laying sending information back to you, the particular experience, and that is how it translated into your physical experience.
Thank you, Ethan. Would you say that in that dream state where I experience another reality, whether I'm on a UFO or just flying above the park, is it my higher mind that has experienced that?
Yes, and also your physical consciousness. Because many times those beings that you actually interact with on those levels are friends, and they do want to come say hi and invite you to go on adventures.
Right. What exactly happens in the dream state?
Many things, and anything you can possibly think of, and many things you can't think of.
So
You're
the
seeing
dream,
you
yeah,
are seeing family members, you are seeing old friends that you knew in other incarnations. You are having planning sessions that you're saying, I would like to have this experience in my physical life because I think it would help me be better. Instead of having an NDE where you potentially die and have a more challenging lesson after that particular type of situation.
so it's like a little death. You can jump out and do a few things and then come back.
Yes. Instead of fully having to reboot yourself like in a NDE near death experience,
Right.
you're just having some time to make a planning session or
Oh,
go to another world or
right.
go to another reality entirely. It's just you may not necessarily be able to have the experience or remembrance of these particular times and spaces and realities because your mind couldn't necessarily handle it. So be okay with not necessarily knowing, but understand that the information that you receive from those particular types of experiences will translate what needs to come through. You may not necessarily have a full remembrance of the full experience, but you will know what you need to know in the moment.
Right. That makes sense. Thank you. Ethan, we've had quite a few solar flares recently, and I've learned that there's some system to grade them, and apparently they're quite intense.
Yes.
What you can tell me about these few recent solar flares we went through?
You're going through the idea of an upgrade. You are being blasted with energy from your star, soul. You're going through the energetic process of going to higher frequencies
And these solar flares will continue?
for some time. You understand that there are seasons when it comes to your star inside of your system where it sends off more of these kind of storms. There is weather in outer space, remember this.
Right. Ra mentioned to Don Elkins that the sun, the soul, is the logos. It's a consciousness or subconsciousness of the galaxy, if I recall. Could you teach me about that a little bit, please, about the consciousness of the sun?
One moment, we are facilitating a shift at this time to the being you refer to as Ra.
Thank you.
One moment. I am Ra. The idea of the central sun, the central connection, is that which expresses through all physical forms in your reality. I am Ra.
Thank you, Ra. What is the logos? What is the consciousness of the sun, and where does it get it from?
I am Ra. Much in the way that you express yourself as the physical experience, the oversoul of your world, of your system, is that which is expresses itself through your star. I am Ra.
Thank you, Ra. How many oversouls express themselves as the sun? One or more?
I am Ra. One.
Thank you, Ra. Are we all connected to that oversoul?
I am Ra. Yes, you are all the expressions of the One. I am Ra.
Thank you, Ra. What is the physicality of the sun?
I am Ra. The idea of the expression of the star that you circle is that which expresses itself in higher dimensions beyond what you can physically experience as humans. I am Ra.
Thank you, Ra. Would the sun have any messages for us at this point?
I am Ra. Your expressions of humanity are going through shifts of energetic states. Your energetic states and physical states will soon match that particular state of being that is in accordance with the particular vibration of higher states. I am Ra.
Thank you, Ra. My last question for you, is there anything that we can do to prepare ourselves for these changes?
I am Ra. Allowing yourself to be more in the space of receiving and understanding instead of needing to be other than what you are. I am Ra.
Thank you very much, Ra. I have no further questions.
The idea that we share with you today at this time is to understand and be in more accordance with who you are and what you are. Your full being will express itself as you move through the upgrades that is coming to your system at this time. Understand that you have friends out there, you have family out there, you have the expression of more of yourself in the stars, but that is not the idea of being here at this time. You all will go through the expression of first contact, open contact with other civilizations beyond the Earth realm. But give yourself time and space to be okay with the experience because it will be quite jarring to start with. But then at a certain point, you will reach the point of being able to physically connect to more of yourself. Remember, all these things do come in stages that happen at the right timing. If you force them to ever happen, they will take much, much longer. Be in the flow state and allow yourself to be fully committed to being open to the physical world and how it is expressed itself. Allow yourself to have discernment in all times and all places with all people. Know what is right for you and what is right for other people, and understand that not everyone is meant to be in your life forever. And be okay with that. But at the same time, do not allow yourself to be hurt by the people that are not meant to be there forever.
Thank you very much for today.
We bid you good day.
Good day.
Yeah. That was it's getting easier. Like that time it was actually that was fun. Ooh, everyone's saying raw today. It's fantastic having you guys here. I'm glad we can share these experiences with each other, and thank you for the wonderful questions. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll talk. And we'll